Okay. Good afternoon, dear students. This is teacher Anita with another online lecture. Well, we'll resume the same lecture. Okay. So this lecture going to be online lecture number 4 and 5. Okay. So our topic is same, human heart. Okay. We did some, some stuff. Okay, related to human heart in the previous lecture. I hope you understood. And still I'm saying, if there is any question, send me your question, okay? Through WhatsApp, you have my number. When some students are sending their homework, okay? So please write down your things, okay? And if you have any question, okay, you can ask me and finish your homework also. Homework is basically, you have to write down the quick answers, okay? I, gave you your first homework and today is the deadline, okay? So you have to do that and send me, okay, on my WhatsApp number, okay, like some students send, okay, they have already sent, then, but few are, left with this, okay, so please do that thing, okay, so without much delay, let's move towards our today's topic. So, like we did, human heart structure, okay, so a quick recap, okay, because we are doing human heart. So I want to give you, brief about our previous lecture, what we did. So we did introduction, some facts, okay. These facts are actually the basic facts. Then position of heart, okay. Then we did function of heart, okay, general. Types of circulation, 3 types we did, okay. Next, structure of heart, okay, but in net shell structure, right? So structure is divided into 4 chambers, okay, 2 atrium and 2 ventricles. Then this is the external structure, okay, everything is here, okay. So these are actually the organs inside the heart, okay. Again, I'm repeating, we have pulmonary artery, we have pulmonary vein, we have coronary artery, then we have left ventricle, we have right ventricle. Next to this is inferior vena cava, then we have right atrium, okay, then we have pulmonary vein. We have a curved tube, okay, which is called aorta, then we have superior vena cava, okay. So these are actually the organs in external structure of the heart. Then this is the internal structure, but we have 3 diagrams for this. One, this was first, okay, this is second, and this one is third. So you can choose any one, okay, which like, according to your comfortability. Like if for me, this is okay because everything is clear. I can see everything, okay. So this is like easy for me. So you can go with any of, this first, second or third, right? So this also we did, okay, the function, like, what right atrium is doing, okay, right, the heart is divided into 2 parts, okay, left part and the right part, okay. So we have left atrium, right atrium, we have left ventricle and right ventricle, okay. So external structure of the heart we did, okay. We did about pericardium, okay. Pericardium is the covering of the heart, okay. So membrane, actually it's a membrane, okay. But yeah, covering and membrane is the same thing, okay. So then we did the structure, I mean the composition of pericardium, okay. It is further divided into 2 layers, okay. So it's up to you if you want to go into this much detail. Otherwise, just structure of pericardium is okay. You just know what is pericardium, okay, and what is the function of this pericardium, okay, and composition a little bit, okay. So function is, it actually, contain a liquid or fluid which is called, pericardial fluid, okay, and this fluid is acting as a lubricant, okay. So this is actually the main function, all right. Now next, okay, until this we did yesterday. So now we're going to start our today's lecture, okay. But why I gave you a quick review, okay, because if we don't have in the idea of the previous things, okay, it's very difficult for us to understand the next one, right? So today we're going to do the structure, okay. So external structure we did, like heart is covered by pericardium, okay. Now the heart wall is made up of 3 layers, okay, right. Now what are these 3 layers, okay? First one is epicardium, okay, then we have myocardium, and then we have endocardium, okay. Cardium, cardiocardium, okay, it's related to heart, okay, cardial, okay, it's all these things. It means it's related to heart. Okay, so epicardium, okay, like we have epidermis. Okay, so epicardium is the outermost layer of the heart. Okay, it's simple. It is composed of a thin layered membrane that serves to lubricate and protect the outer section. Like its main function is protection. Okay, right. And outer covering. Okay, you just keep this thing in your mind. Okay, then we have myocardium. This is a layer of muscle tissue, and it constitutes the middle layer wall of the cell. Okay, sorry, of the heart. Okay, it's not cell, it's heart. Okay, so it contributes to the thickness and responsible for pumping action. So we can say like this myocardium play a very important role. Okay, all the pumping stuff. Okay, all the pumping thing, because the main function of heart is to pump the blood, right? Okay, so myocardium play a very important role. Okay, because it is made up of muscle tissues. Okay, and its main function is, and it's thick also. Okay, so basically the pumping action is controlled by this layer of the heart wall, right? Then we have endocardium. Okay, so endocardium is the innermost layer that lines the inner heart chambers and cover the heart valves. Okay, means we have openings. Okay, so furthermore, it prevents the blood from sticking to the inner walls and thereby preventing the potentially fatal blood clots. So, well, this is also important because this is innermost. Okay, innermost layer, and this layer actually, lines the heart chambers. Like, we have atrium, we have ventricles. Okay, right? And also covers the heart valves. Okay, the small holes. Okay, from where the blood is going. Okay, going and coming, like we can say the path. Okay, right? So route between the ventricles and you can say, actually these are the lids, coverings of the, okay, made up of muscles. Okay, like covering, okay, in between the ventricles and auricles, and the lids of pulmonary arteries and veins, right? So it prevents the important function. It prevents the blood from sticking to the inner walls. Okay, this is the main function. Okay, so if it is preventing the sticking thing, okay, it means there is no blood clotting. Understood? So it prevents the blood clotting. This is the main function. Okay, so let me recapitulate. Epicardium is responsible for the protection. Okay, like outer covering, protection of the heart. Okay, then myocardium is responsible for pumping action. Okay, because of the thickness, and endocardium is basically responsible, okay, for preventing the blood clotting inside the heart. Okay, so this is the structure of the heart wall. Okay, then now this is the internal structure. Okay, the main internal structure. So like I showed you the picture, but I'll go back. Okay, but first let's read what happened. The internal structure of, this heart. Okay, because, we have internal, these are the chambers. Okay, right? Basically the internal structure include the chambers. Okay, and the valves. Okay, so what happened here are the chambers. Okay, the chambers, like in vertebrate hearts, what can happen? Okay, vertebrate heart can be classified based on the number of the chamber present. Okay, we are vertebrates. Okay, so like in case of fish, we have two chambers. Okay, in case of reptiles, okay, and amphibians, three chambers are there. And in case of apes and mammals, okay, uh, means we are mammals. Okay, so a heart consists of four chambers, right? So humans are mammals. Okay, we know this thing. Okay, because we did this in grade 11. Okay, phylum Chordata, if you remember. Okay, further divided into classes. Okay, 5 classes. Okay, reptiles. Okay, then we have apes. Okay, mammals. Okay, if you remember, I'm just giving you some hints. Okay, so mammalia was one actually, right? Okay, one class coming under the phylum Chordata. Okay, so we have 4 chambers here: left atrium, right atrium, left ventricle, and right ventricle. Okay, so let's go back to the structure. Okay, look here, this is a structure. Okay, this is my favorite diagram. Okay, not favorite, but easy for me. So you can see here because everything is clear. So look here, this is the structure. Okay, the external structure we have already done with that. Okay, but now we'll go inside. Okay, so we have here, okay, these atriums. Okay, 2 upper compartments. Okay, and 2 ventricles. Okay, I mean down. So, and we have some, verbs, okay, like controlling. You can check here in the center, okay. We have here flap-like things, okay. Like you can check here. This is actually the, here I'm pointing, okay, where like between the right atrium and right ventricle, okay, there is a path, okay, there is a small root, okay, it's shown, it's actually one arrow is there, right, okay, so you can check these are actually the valves, okay, and here also in the left ventricle and the left atrium we have, this tricuspid valve, right, okay, so this is actually the structure, okay, the structure is very simple structure, but I hope you understood, okay, what is this. You can check here. Okay, here also you can check, guys. We have tricuspid, okay, valve here, and we have bicuspid, mitral valve here, okay. Look here, this is actually the structure, but this structure is actually, this structure, okay, is not that much clear because this is three-dimensional and, according to me, it's clear, okay. For me, it's okay, but for you guys, it's a little difficult, okay. So here, I just want to show you guys, okay, the location of these valves, okay, right, and division like atriums and the ventricles, and these are divided by the septum, okay. So what happened, okay, we were doing this internal structure of the heart, okay, so let's go towards the ventricles, okay, right, because we did a little bit about auricles, okay, I mean also atriums are also known as auricles, okay, so we did this atrium, a little bit about atrium, okay, yesterday, right, but we'll do in detail today in the atria, okay, or the atrium, okay. So let's start with the ventricles, okay. So what happened, a ventricle is a cavity or the chamber that can be filled with a fluid such as cerebral ventricles, okay, but this is the case of the brain, okay, right. So here, like, it's not a ventricle is actually a cavity, right, okay. It can be present in the brain, it can be present in heart, okay. So when it is present in the brain, it is called cerebral ventricle, okay, and like in case of heart, it is called heart ventricle, okay. So what happened in heart, like the heart ventricles are separated by a septum into the left ventricle and the right ventricle, okay. So like, I have to go back again, okay. Look here, guys, this is a septum, okay, and it is divided into two parts, okay, with the help of this dividing wall, right. So now what is actually the structure, like function, okay, of these ventricles, okay. You saw the location, okay. Now the ventricles of the heart pump the blood to the entire body, okay. Like, now how, okay, we have a complete pathway for this, okay, so we'll check, but first of all, we have right ventricle, okay, and then we will talk about the left ventricle, okay. So what is the function of right ventricle, okay. So it receives the blood from the right atrium, okay, and pumps it to the main pulmonary artery, okay, right. But for now, you have to just keep yourself calm, okay, and just try to understand what I'm saying, because at the end, okay, when I will summarize everything, okay, you will understand everything, okay. So let's start again. What is the function of right ventricle? It receives the blood from the right atrium and pumps it to the main pulmonary artery. Okay, pulmonary artery means it is related to lungs, right? Now, blood passes from the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, okay, into the right ventricle, like I showed you here, guys. This is the tricuspid valve, okay, here, okay, like this is left atrium and this is left ventricle, okay. In between there is a hole, hole, actually these holes are two, but it is actually only one structure, okay. This is called mitral valves, or tricuspid, okay. This is called tricuspid. And this side we have bicuspid. Now what is tricuspid and what is bicuspid? Tricuspid means here we have three flaps, okay. The structure, it's a muscular structure with the three flaps, but in on this right side we have bicuspid because we have only two flaps, two muscular flaps, okay. So what happened, okay, this is actually the function. Now, blood is then forced into the main pulmonary artery as the ventricle contract and the pulmonary valves open. Okay, so because there are the lids. Okay, for example, you can imagine this pulmonary artery. Okay, is a pipe-like structure. Okay, and this pipe contains a lid just to close it, okay, or open it. With the pressure, what happened? That lid will open, okay, and blood will be forced, okay, into that artery, okay. So after that, what happened? This lid will be closed, okay. This is actually the mechanism. Then what happened? The pulmonary artery extends from the right ventricle and branches into the left and the right pulmonary arteries. Okay, it starts the location, okay, like location of pulmonary artery, it extends from the right ventricle. We'll go back to the diagram, okay, but let me first finish this. What happened? Pulmonary artery extends from the right ventricle. It originates from the right ventricles and divided into two parts, okay, that is left and the right pulmonary arteries, because we have two lungs, okay, right? So these arteries extend to the lungs. Understood? Because these arteries are actually taking the blood to lungs, okay. Here oxygen poor blood picks up the oxygen and is returned to the heart via the pulmonary veins, okay. Now this is the function of right ventricle. It means we can say right ventricle contain deoxygenated blood. This is actually the conclusion, right? Right ventricle contain deoxygenated blood because we are sending deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to lungs, okay, through pulmonary arteries. Clear? I think this much is clear, okay. Now, next is left ventricle, okay. It receives the blood from the left atrium, obviously, okay, and pumps it to the aorta, okay. Another artery we have, okay, and this is aorta. Blood returning to the heart from the lungs enters the left atrium and passes through the mitral valve to the left ventricle, and blood in the left ventricle is then pumped to the aorta as ventricles contract and the aortic valve open, and the aorta carries and distributes the oxygen rich blood to the rest of the body. Now, okay, nutshell what happened here, okay. First of all, let me give you the brief. Left ventricle contain oxygenated blood. Right ventricle contain deoxygenated blood. This is clear, right? Now what happened? From right ventricle, deoxygenated blood is taken, okay, to lungs through pulmonary arteries, okay, for oxygenation. All right. But what happened here in left ventricle? Okay, left ventricle is already filled with the good blood, oxygenated blood, okay, and it will receive the oxygenated blood from the left atrium, okay. So what happened now? Your left ventricle is filled with oxygenated blood, okay, I mean oxygen rich blood, okay, and here we have an artery, okay, and this is the biggest artery in the human body. This is called aorta. Now aorta will open because of the pressure of the ventricle, okay. Like in case of right ventricle, pulmonary arteries, okay, pulmonary artery, okay, open because of the pressure. In the same way, because of the contraction of the heart, contraction, relaxation, okay. So same thing, because of the pressure of the contraction, okay, what happened here? The aorta will open, okay, right, and good blood will go into aorta, right, okay, and that aorta will be divided into small arteries, okay, and these arteries are actually giving blood to all the parts of the body, okay. This is actually the function of left and right ventricle, okay. Next we have atrium, okay, auricles, okay, or atria, okay. So what happened? Okay, at the top we have two atrium, okay. Now what is the function of atrium? Atrium of the heart receive blood returning to the heart from other areas of the body, okay. Now right atrium and left atrium, like we did in case of ventricles, we did first right ventricle, okay. So what is actually the function of right ventricle? Okay, it is actually giving deoxygenated blood to lungs for oxygenation, okay. And the function of left ventricle is to distribute the good, oxygenated blood to each and every part of the body. This much is clear. Now here we're going to talk about the function of auricles, okay, or atrium. Now right atrium, okay, right above the right ventricle, we have right atrium, okay? So it receives the blood, okay, returning to the heart from the superior and inferior vena cava, okay? So we have big veins, okay? And these veins are known as vena cavas, okay? So these veins are actually receiving blood, okay, deoxygenated blood, okay? They're actually collecting deoxygenated blood, okay? The superior vena cava returns the deoxygenated blood from the head, neck, arm, chest regions of the body to the right atrium. Now, we have superior, we have inferior, okay? So we have two parts. Superior means it is collecting the deoxygenated blood, okay, from the upper part of the body, like head, neck, arm, chest, okay? And what about the inferior part? Okay, the inferior vena cava, okay, returns the deoxygenated blood from the lower body regions, for example, the leg, back, abdomen, and pelvis area, okay? So now we have right atrium, okay? So it means right atrium is actually filled with deoxygenated blood, okay, from the whole body, right? And here, like two vena cava, so they are playing a very important role, superior and inferior vena cava, right? Okay, so inferior is actually taking the blood, okay, taking blood from all the lower part of the body, okay, and dumping into this right atrium, and superior is taking the blood from the superior parts, means the upper parts like the head, neck, all, okay, and dumping that deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. Now right atrium is filled with deoxygenated blood, okay, and that deoxygenated blood will go to right ventricle, okay, from where your deoxygenated blood will go to lungs, okay, through pulmonary arteries, okay, for oxygenation. Okay, this is clear. Now next we have left atrium. Okay, now left atrium, okay, we did left ventricle, and the left ventricle was actually giving good blood, deoxygenated blood to other parts of the body, okay? So what happened in left atrium? Left atrium received the blood returning to the heart from the pulmonary veins, and the pulmonary veins extends from the left atrium to the lungs and bring oxygen rich blood back to the heart, okay? Very simple, okay? Like the function of right atrium is to collect the deoxygenated blood from the whole body and giving back to this right ventricle. In the same way, the function of left atrium is to receive the good blood, that is oxygenated blood, from lungs, okay, and then pass that oxygenated blood to left ventricle, okay, and from where, from this left ventricle, okay, we have in left ventricle we have aorta, okay, and through aorta we are, aorta is actually giving the oxygenated blood to each and every part of the body. So this much is clear, okay? Very simple structure, okay? Again, recapitulation, because why I'm recapitulating over and again, because guys, this is very important. If you're not understanding the circulation process, it's very difficult, okay? So no problem, okay? Just this is actually sort of a mechanism, okay, a circle. So and in the circle 4 main chambers are there, okay, right and left, like heart is divided into right part, left part, okay. We have 2 auricles, we have 2 ventricles, okay. So we'll start with the right ventricle, okay. So right ventricle is filled with your let me show you with the help of diagram now. Okay, very simple diagram. Look here. Yeah, this one. Okay. Now look, guys, here. What happened? Okay, we have right atrium, we have right ventricle, we have left atrium, we have left ventricle. Okay, so we have already read the structure. The function of all these. Okay, so but now with the help of diagram, okay, how it is happening. So, like I said, here we have right ventricle. Okay, down. Okay, this is right ventricle. Okay. So what happened in this right ventricle? Right ventricle contains deoxygenated blood, okay? But that deoxygenated blood is given by right atrium, okay? And what happened in right atrium? Right atrium, okay, receive the deoxygenated blood, okay, from all the parts of the body, right? Through 2 big veins, okay? And these 2 veins are superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, right? So these veins are actually collecting the blood from the upper and the lower part of the body. And now we have here right atrium, and right atrium is filled with deoxygenated blood, okay. Now what happened? Here we have bicuspid valve, I mean a small opening, okay. With the help of that opening, what happened, deoxygenated blood will, go down, okay, here in the right ventricle, okay. Now, this part is clear, okay. But here what happened, what is the fate of that deoxygenated blood, okay. So that deoxygenated blood, okay, will send to lungs, okay, right, through pulmonary arteries, okay. So pulmonary artery, a big artery, okay, will arise from the right ventricle, okay, and that that artery, okay, will be divided into two parts, okay. One will go to left lung, another one will go to right lung for oxygenation, okay, right, because it contains deoxygenated blood, okay. So deoxygenated blood will be sent to lungs for oxygenation, okay. This part is clear, okay. It means the right part contain deoxygenated blood. This much is clear, right? Now here we have left atrium, okay. So left atrium is actually receiving the blood, okay, from the lungs, because we have sent here from the right, okay, we have sent deoxygenated blood, okay, right, to lungs for oxygenation, okay. Now the blood is, now we have oxygenated blood, okay. So what happened, the oxygenated blood, okay, is here. This is actually the area, left atrium, okay, is the place where oxygenated blood will, collect, right. So oxygenated blood is, taken, right, okay, or we can say this is actually the area, the center, this part, okay, this part, left atrium, is the part which contain oxygenated blood, right. And from where it is getting oxygenated blood, it is getting oxygenated blood from lungs, okay, through pulmonary veins, right. Okay, this is the exception, okay. So what is exception? Otherwise, the function of veins and arteries, okay, arteries are always actually related to oxygenated blood, and veins are always related to deoxygenated blood. But here we are talking about something, opposite, right? So what happened here, I'm telling you guys, okay, that oxygenated blood is actually carried to this area, okay, with the help of pulmonary veins, okay. So pulmonary veins will, carry the oxygenated blood and, dump that blood over here in the left atrium, okay. Down to this we have left ventricle, okay. So in the left ventricle, here we have in the center, okay, right, we have a valve opening, okay, and that opening is basically, called tricuspid valve, okay. So with the help of that opening, the blood will go down, okay, into the left ventricle, okay. And in the left ventricle here, okay, we have a big artery which is called aorta, okay. So this aorta, because of the pressure, okay, because of the we have a contraction and relaxation in the heart, okay. So because of the pressure, what happened, this left ventricle, okay, contract, and aortic, the valves are, the lids of aorta will open, and blood from this left ventricle, okay, will enter into the aorta, and that aorta will be, will split into small arteries, okay, and give blood to all the parts of the body. But what type of blood? Oxygenated blood, okay. So this is actually the complete, you can say, circle, how blood is flowing inside our heart, okay. So this is actually the process, okay. This is very important, and guys, little complicated also, but not that much complicated, okay. So today we did the ventricles and auricles, okay. So look here, this is the anatomy of the heart, okay. We have 4 chambers done. We have vessels, okay, different vessels. We have arteries, veins, okay, capillaries, and then we have valves, okay. We have bicuspid, tricuspid, semilunar valves, okay. So we'll talk about each and everything, okay. But I guess we'll do all these things, okay, in the next lecture, okay. This lecture is actually, I think we have to resume the same lecture, okay, right? We have next lecture next week, right? So we'll continue in the next week, next lecture about these arteries, okay, about these valves, okay, and the pathway, okay. What we're gonna do, we'll do this, the structure, okay, the composition of auricles and ventricles, okay. Then we'll do the blood vessels, that is the veins, capillaries, and arteries, okay. Then we'll do the valves, the different types of valves. We have audioventricular valves, and then we have semilunar valves. Then we'll do how does blood flow through the heart, okay. The same thing, okay. I already explained you, it start, okay, And like today we did something, okay? And then we did we'll do the pulse rate and blood pressure, okay? So this we'll do in the next lecture because we don't have time today, right? So see you very soon in the next lecture. Until then, take care of yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye.